Hello and welcome to another lesson in Vedic Astrology with Renu. In this video, we're going to look at how Vedic Astrology and Ayurveda approach building the emotional resilience necessary for happiness and fulfillment in life, as well as for spiritual discipline. Staying with our theme of using the template of Campbell's hero's journey, myths and stories across cultures reveal the yearnings, fears, aspirations, and struggles common to every individual. They also provide the roadmap for ways out of our predicament. Emotional resilience is that soft feminine energy of the heart that unites with the raw masculine courage and logic for the hero to be successful. Ancient systems of knowledge have always emphasized intersecting the heart with the head, such as yin and yang in China. In the Vedic horoscope, the sun is the masculine energized energy and the moon the feminine. In Ayurveda, the fire element, called Pitta, is the masculine energy, and the water element, called Kapha, is the feminine energy. Harmonizing our fire element with our water element and the sun and the moon is the basis of the yogic system of knowledge. Most people in the West know their sun sign because Western astrology is primarily sun sign based. Vedic astrology emphasizes the feminine more, and so is more moon sign based, giving far more importance to the moon than the sun for our day-to-day peace of mind and happiness. In the Vedic horoscope, emotional resilience is primarily determined by our emotional filters, which are the moon, the zodiac sign of Cancer that it rules, and the corresponding fourth house. These are viewed as the seat of contentment and fulfillment and the primary indicators of the karma for happiness and satisfaction. In fact, the Vedic astrology Vimshotri Dasha system used to predict the timing of events is determined by calculations based on the placement of the moon at the time of our birth, because ultimately it's our moon, or how we feel, that drives how our life will unfold. If the moon and the fourth house are struggling in the horoscope, this indicates a lack of adequate support in life, both perceived or real. They show how our primary needs of food, shelter, and most importantly, emotional security were met in childhood. They are therefore often referred to as the mother, or the capacity to nurture and receive nurturing. On a psychological level, the moon and the fourth house show where we are at home and where we keep going back to, even if it no longer serves us well. In Ayurveda, physical health is not possible without emotional health. Ayurveda calls the metabolic process that allows us to process, collect, and store emotions in a meaningful way, Sadhaka Pitta. This Pitta, or fire element sub-dosha, is metabolically responsible for creating the coordination between our emotions, senses, thoughts, and actions. Ayurveda's goal is to help the body-mind with balanced fuel and fire to properly cook sensory emotional data into useful and intelligent bits of information. Traumatic experiences from our past, or those of our ancestors, are lodged in our consciousness. If not cooked, processed, digested, assimilated, and eliminated, they can leave scars on our body and mind and hold us responsible, even if we can't remember them. The truth is that the only emotion that we don't need to cook or process is love. Recent discoveries in neuroscience also recognize that our limbic system stores emotional imprints and sets the tone for our personality by filtering events as it sees fit and deciding which facts presented to us are relevant and which are not. So now let's learn a little bit about cooking emotions. When the moon and the fourth house are well disposed in the horoscope, it shows that we have an inherent ability for cooking our emotions with balance and equanimity. This creates an even temperament and a sense of fulfillment regardless of our circumstances. It gives flexibility and openness to change and allows for a personality that is not dependent on black and white, but rather capable of interpreting shades, hues, and nuance. Most importantly, our instincts and intuition become more reliable, which makes it easier to make good decisions, including those for our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. When we process or cook emotions very slowly, or sometimes not at all, negative impressions will hang around and get lodged in the heart long after the event. Past traumas will continue to impact current actions and show up as depression, addiction, sadness, lack of enthusiasm, inability to act, and the why me attitude. Then there are times when we overcook or speed cook emotions, burning them up in the process, producing anger, rage, short-term thinking, impulsiveness, or simply becoming overwhelmed with feelings. In Ayurveda, this overcooking or undercooking of emotions fans pranavata, the sub-dosha of vata or the air element, which regulates the intelligence of the body or the hormones and neurotransmitters. Interestingly, in Sanskrit, Sadhak, which means having the will to pursue and accomplish, is also the word for disciple or spiritual initiate. Other words with the same root are sadhana, or the spiritual practice itself, such as prayer, mantra, or meditation, and sadhu or siddha, describing those who have completed their discipleship. All of these words come from the same Sanskrit root as sadhak pitta, or the fire that cooks emotions. So a spiritual seeker is one who is working to cultivate appropriate control over their emotions, neither overcooking nor undercooking. Without a high level of emotional resilience, the motivation to stay on the spiritual path will not be there. Also, highly charged emotions often misinterpret or superficially assimilate even the highest of spiritual teachings. So let's now turn to the astrological indications and some of the more challenging placements for the moon. The moon in the 8th house, the moon in the 12th house, moon in Scorpio, moon conjunct Saturn, Mars, Rahu, or Ketu, moon in Pisces, moon with Mercury, a new moon, moon in Virgo or the 6th house, and challenging planets like Saturn, Rahu, Mars, and Ketu in the 4th house or in Cancer can also create difficulties. As you can see, the moon and the 4th house are very sensitive. It takes very little disturbance for us to lose our naturally sustaining, cooling, nourishing inner knowing and turn it into an instrument of anxiety and fear in the body and mind. So pretty much all of us on this life's journey will need to acquire skills to cook our emotions in a balanced way to build emotional resilience. During planetary periods or dashas related to the moon and the 4th house, or during certain transits of Saturn over the moon, such as Sade Sati, undigested and uncooked emotions are pushed to the surface, forcing us to confront our emotional baggage and work through our emotional blocks. Western astrology emphasizes sun signs for compatibility. In Vedic astrology, the compatibility calculations are based on our moon sign. These compatibility techniques have been used for thousands of years in India to arrange marriages. So in a sense, relationships here are based on our deepest emotional needs we carry in our subconscious, often unknown to us, and not necessarily the attunement we feel in the early parts of a relationship. So finally, let's look at the remedial factors for emotional resilience in Ayurveda and Vedic astrology. Ayurveda relies primarily on the importance of sound digestive health to balance neurotransmitters such as serotonin that are produced mostly in the gut and are responsible for coordinating the senses, emotions, and thoughts. The imbalance is treated by removing the buildup of toxins in the body, readjusting our circadian rhythms, recommendations for the right lifestyle and diet for our unique physical and mental constitution, and then supplementing with herbal tonics to address nutritional deficiencies and build strength in the body and mind. There's an old Indian folk saying, "No mother, don't worry, you have Triphala," an ancient Ayurvedic formula that supports and strengthens digestive health. Rejuvenating tonics such as Chyawanprash, which contain over 40 herbs, are designed specifically to safely balance hormones and neurotransmitters in the body. Traditional Vedic astrologers use more mystical methods, such as mantras, worshipping the divine feminine, yagyas, donations, and other spiritual practices to bring more harmony to the moon. Many also recommend wearing pearls to strengthen the lunar energy. Traditionally, Ayurveda was always practiced along with Vedic astrology, which is not so common today. Ayurvedic doctors and practitioners today would be well served to overlap their diagnosis and treatment with the findings of the Vedic horoscope, especially the timing of the Dasha of the moon or the fourth house and Saturn's transit over the moon, and offer psychological and spiritual guidance for those struggling with moon-related mental or physical disorders. Vedic astrology would also benefit by addressing physiological factors such as blood glucose levels and/or imbalanced neurotransmitters and hormones. Correcting the physiological factors is sometimes required before deep spiritual therapy, such as mantra and meditation, can be successfully utilized. The most important remedy for the moon will always be providing an environment of trust, safety, and protection for the person seeking help. When this is the case, most people benefit greatly from greater awareness, better acceptance, and understanding of the inner influences of the outer experiences of their life. It's important to remember that there are many famous people, such as Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, and Byron Katie, who have overcome the obstacles of a difficult moon in their Vedic horoscope, and then gone on to help thousands and thousands of people build more emotional resilience. A much more holistic approach is created in healing the moon and creating more emotional resilience when horoscope interpretation is accompanied with compassion, yogic knowledge-inspired counseling, Ayurveda, and spiritual astrological remedies. Other current healing modalities can be tailored to the specifics of the horoscope, such as constellation therapy, NLP, journaling, and reconnecting and rediscovering our family roots, especially the myths and stories of our culture. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. In future videos, we will look more closely at the intelligence of the sun and how it is merged with the emotional moon to create a high level of EQ or emotional intelligence. Thank you and namaste.